Thank you very much for inviting me to talk about this unique village called New in the UK. I will talk today. I work for New Korean School, a Korean community Saturday school for primary and secondary students, teaching Korean language and culture. The parents of our students are originally from both Korea. As a researcher and educator, I have learned a lot about what living together truly means. Today, I would like to share my thoughts and understandings through my own experiences. My talk will consist of three parts. Firstly, the background. How did North and South Korean encounter each other in this town? Secondly, observations. Does the nature of their interaction in New Malden differ from that in South Korea? Thirdly, and finally, the inspiration, the experiments, and the hope for the future. Let me briefly explain the history of Korean immigration to the UK. Unlike the Korean diaspora in Japan, China, Russia, and the USA, Korean immigration to the UK has a relatively short history. The first generation came to the UK in the 1970s. Most of them were expatriate workers for major companies who stayed for a certain period and then returned to Korea. New Malden, a suburb of London, is the largest Korean town in the UK. One reason New Malden became a little Korea is that the residence of the South Korean ambassador used to be nearby. Additionally, Samsung Electronics has its UK office in New Malden until 2005. These factors combined to encourage Koreans to settle in this area collectively. The first wave of North Korean immigration started in 2004 when 17 North Koreans were granted refugee status in the UK. The number of North Korean refugees rapidly increased. In 2013, UNHCR statistics showed 630 refugees and 56 asylum seekers from North Korea in the UK. We estimate the current number of North Koreans to be between 800 and 10,000, making it the largest North Korean population outside the Korean peninsula in China. Unlike South Korean immigrants who came to study and work, North Koreans came to settle. They could obtain refugee status, permanent residency after 5 years, and then UK citizenship after another year. In the UK, asylum seekers are given a place to live outside of London. And North Koreans were placed in Northern England, Wales, and Scotland. However, once they were able to move, they relocate to New Malden, where the Korean community exists. It is common for immigrants to concentrate in their ethnic communities, as it is easier to find jobs and access support networks without language barriers. At first, North Koreans were hired by South Korean employers. Nearly 15 years later, many North Koreans have started their own businesses, mainly restaurants. Nowadays, it is not uncommon to find South Korean staff working for North Korean bosses. There are estimated to be around 10,000 Koreans in New Malden and up to 20,000 Koreans in the surrounding areas. Among them are about 800 North Koreans. These days, it is not hard to meet North Koreans on New Malden High Street. Both Koreans meet daily at school, work, church, and other social gatherings. The fundamental difference I observe is that in New Malden, North Koreans tend to publicly acknowledge their North Korean identity and are open about it. Most of the North Koreans I met in South Korea, didn't want to reveal where they were from. Rather than saying they were North Koreans, they wanted to be viewed as South Korean. If they have to explain their northern dialect, they sometimes pretended to be Chinese Korean. This is because being North Korean could be a stigma in South Korea. However, in New Malden, North Koreans seem not to have that pressure to change who they are. They have set up their own organization, the North Korea Resident Society in the UK, supporting each other and celebrating traditional holidays together, such as Dano and Chuseok. In New Malden, North Koreans look much freer, and the relationship between the two Koreans is much more equal and fair. Why? There are several reasons, I think. Firstly, in South Korea, North Koreans are a definite minority, struggling to adjust to South Korea. However, in the UK, both Korea and South Koreans are immigrants trying to find their way in UK society, meaning none of them are a majority. Although their socioeconomic status may differ, fundamentally, both are minorities as immigrants. Secondly, UK society is very multicultural. The Royal Borough of Kingston-upon-Thames, to which New Malden belongs to, particularly emphasize the ethos of inclusiveness, diversity, and equality. This environment helps protect individuals from different ethnic backgrounds from prejudice and discrimination. Also, the UK Equality Act protects against any discrimination based on nationality. North Koreans don't experience stigma from local people for being themselves. If they do, it is a violation of the Equality Act. Thirdly, the anti-North Korea sentiment is much weaker here than in South Korea. The UK and the DPRK have diplomatic relations, and North Korea is recognized as a nation. Here is a little anecdote. Our school used to rent a local primary school on Saturdays. In that school's main hall, a big banner made by the pupils was hung on the wall. Under the title, "Let us celebrate our nations," 29 different national flags were displayed, representing the students' diverse ethnic backgrounds. The ROK and the DPRK flags were presented next to each other. It was such an unreal experience for me to see the North Korean flag displayed publicly at a primary school. Yet it is illegal to do so in South Korea, violating the national security law. I believe this environment makes North Koreans feel more accepted. Finally, on the more practical note, in New Malden, both Koreas are highly interdependent on each other economically. They need each other as employers and employees, as well as service providers and customers. People often say that Korean restaurants and supermarkets can't run their businesses without North Korean help. To make businesses successful, mutual respect must be shown. Among many interesting and inspirational events in New Malden, I would like to share three things. Each story represents to me reconciliation, cooperation, and hope for the future. First, reconciliation. In June 2022, I invited a British Korean War veteran to our school. Mr. Brian Hoff, a 20-year-old British gentleman, gave a speech to our students about the war he had experienced. After the talk, we all marched together to the war memorial in New Malden to lay a poppy wreath. It was such a big event that the mayor of Kingston, the representative of Royal British Legion, and many parents and local people joined the event. At the end of ceremony, a father of one of our students approached Brian and said, "My grandfather was a North Korean soldier during the Korean War. I came to the UK in 2007, and now I meet you." Brian hugged him, saying, "You are my friend. You are not my enemy." The man burst into tears when he heard this. It was a moment of reconciliation, I thought, and reconciliation can occur when we remember our shared suffering. We documented this event in a film titled Veterans Day Out and released it on YouTube to show how we can remember the war to reconcile. To reconcile conflict, we have to understand the suffering of both ourselves and others. Second, cooperation. In the last few years, a few senior North Korean women have sadly passed away. Their funerals were assisted by the Korean Senior Citizens Association, where both North and South Korean seniors are members. At the end of life, regardless of where we are from, we all eventually will face the last day. And this is the moment we have to help each other. When people are vulnerable, that is the moment cooperation is needed. And the senior people understood this. Third, hope for the future. In our school, we raise a new generation of children together, regardless of whether their parents are from the North or South. We teach Korean language and culture, which is the heritage we share. Rather than focusing on the differences between the North and the South, we focus more on the common ground that makes Koreans Korean. From my experience, it is not necessary to distinguish where the students are originally from. We choose not to label them North or South to show that we are doing Living Together project. We choose not to differentiate from the beginning so that we don't have to try to overcome it. That's why we don't ask where they are from. In fact, all the teachers don't know where their students are from and treat them equally as children. I believe that the new generation who grow up together as friends will see each other as individuals and break the stereotypical idea associated with groups of North and South Koreans. The more people can see each other as individuals, the more we can overcome the prejudice of seeing a person as part of a group. Hope to overcome the division will be found in this new generation. North and South Koreans happen to live together in New Malden. North Koreans can embrace their identity more easily because of the ecological circumstances in the UK, and particularly in New Malden. Several experiments are possible, and these attempts provide inspiration for reconciliation, cooperation, and hope for the future. This is very much a micro approach to understanding division and unity, but I hope this microscopic example can be heard and provide some inspiration to you as it has to me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your excellent, storytelling and then sharing your ideas on the North Korean refugee and, South Korean, citizens. I mean, both, migrants in the New Malden, near London. I think it's there are many questions to be asked for your lecture contents, and I would love to understand what kind of education do those North Korean refugees themselves and then their children get in the British system in New Malden?
I believe there is no particular special programs or training for refugees in the UK. They are more like any immigrants to the UK, and their children go to school, public school, and because their English is very limited at first, they get a lot of support, as many other English kids who have difficulties in English as a subject. So I don't think there is a particular tailor-made support like South Korea tried to make sometimes are found in the UK. And many North Korean refugees actually were not school age. So they are more like adult And then the children now we are teaching were born in the UK. So actually there is no language problem for the second generation of North Koreans now.
Okay, and then those North Korean refugee in UK, yeah, they are mostly from in the 2004 to 2008, and according to your telling, about 800 to 1,000 North Korean refugee. I mean, now I think most of them become a British citizen. Overcome this is I think language barrier English, and this is pretty tough for any immigrant to the English speaking or Japanese speaking or Korean speaking countries.
Yeah, like I just said before, probably that is not particularly North Korean refugees' problem. I think that is generally most of immigrant family have to face the language barrier. Kingston Council actually have a survey about what particular difficulties that Korean community face, and then they just found that North Koreans have more difficulties in language. So the community tried to help more, and also there are some NGOs helping North Korean community to be settled. But most of them in New Malden actually can live without fluent English because there's Korean community.
This is Koreatown.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think that is the same in LA, in the USA, and in other places that people can live without language. That's why they concentrate in particular part and make a ethnic community. But when they get permanent residency, they have to pass English test and also the test of life in the UK. So I think that's the time that they actually they come across the difficulties that they have to overcome English. But yeah, I believe that there are some support systems. So yeah, it is a problem, but it is not only for their problem. And there are some way that people get support. I think that's what I can say.
So British citizens and British people actually take North Korean refugee or North Korean people as just the other immigrants from other countries. So no difference.
Course, yeah.
That's the main point and distinction between the New Malden in the UK and then South Korea's North Korean refugee say residential area or something.
Yeah, I believe that the fact that UK is very, very multicultural and there are so many immigrants that are living together. Yeah, you know that that one primary school that we rented out for our school, there are 29 different ethnic children are living in a very small primary school. So the fact that it's actually fundamentally multicultural society help North Koreans to be themselves. So I believe that in Korea is still, I don't think we can say that Korea is multicultural society. That fact make North Koreans a little bit more difficult to be themselves in some ways.
And then my next question is, I think it's pretty natural for the North Korean refugees or to be North Korean refugee inside North Korea. They are actually exposed to many information on their own destiny. Say the UK is I think it's better destination for many North Korean refugees, but it seems to us, seems to me, and the increase of North Korean refugee number in the UK has been stalemated. So may I ask you, probably, do you know why? It's the number of North Korean refugees settling in the UK is not increasing steadily throughout 2010s and then 2020. Of course, 2020 is the number of North Korean refugees is diminishing very quickly, though.
I think UK government doesn't accept refugees so much at the beginning, and also screening there is more, I think, sorrow to North Koreans, and some of the North Koreans, probably more than half or majority of the North Koreans actually settled in South Korea first and then moved to the UK, which is, we can't say that it's refugee because South Korea is the first safe port for them. So, but they just moved to UK with their own reasons. So actually UK government and South Korean government help each other to find a way that North Koreans can settle in South Korea more successfully and don't come to UK. So these days, actually, I believe that none of the people get the refugee status in the UK. And even some people who apply asylum seekers, UK government suggests them to go back to South Korea because South Korea has more support and it's your nation. And so, yeah, like you said, that it's much more difficult to get refugee status at this moment. So this 800 to 1,000 North Koreans living in the UK that was a unique period of time to make this happen. So I think this is kind of social experiment that is possible. That how do we live together in this situation?
North Korean refugees or say immigrants, means more the for the proper expression. What are their say perspectives on South Korean society? I mean, it's they say they want to maintain the identity of Joseon people, not Korean people. And the South Korean then they actually want to keep their identity, and then at the same time that actually is distinguish those North Korean refugee in the UK and then North Korean refugee in South Korea. South Korean settled in the South Korea, they actually think and then should think about their identity as a South Korean nationals, but UK citizens and British citizens, and then they have at the same time with the Joseon identity, they might have different perspective on South Korea and North Korea, or South Korea, North Korea, North Korea, South Korea unification.
It is very complicated to be Korean and also being North Koreans, I think. One, as you may know, that
this is a very difficult question.
Yeah, it is. I think I say that North Korean identity is more accepted in the UK. That in Korea, in the UK, where are you from? I'm from Korea, and the next question is North and South. That is what the question we frequently asked by the local people. And when I say I'm from South Korea, I just wonder that what North Koreans say when they ask North or South. Do they say I'm from North Korea, or probably they just say South Korean, like the people that I met in South Korea? But I was very surprised, and most of the people here I met say that I'm from North Korea. So I asked that, okay, what is the reaction of the people if you say you're from North Korea? And they said, well, not particular. And also some people say that, wow, that must be a hard time for you to live there, but welcome kind of feeling. So it is not a stigma that I say that I'm from North Korea. So that makes people to be open more freely. And also here, because North and South Koreans are different in Korea, but here North Korean and South Koreans are equally Korean. So we have bigger category to call ourselves Korean compared to British and Irish or Indians or any other kind of ethnic groups. So we have other reference that make ourselves Korean. So I think we all believe that we have identity of being Korean. That is more important than South Korean or North Koreans. And actually, it doesn't so much matter where we are from. We are from Korea.
Okay. Thank you so much. And your your excellent and then heartwarming, storytelling about your experience and your, analysis or takes on the North Korean refugee or North Korean immigrants in the UK, and very interesting Q&A session and a discussion with me. Yeah, I'm very, very happy to have you in this, session, and then I'm looking forward to, work together and then communicate with you together more in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.